things that we are going to cover today have a little bit of they require some Algebra 1 stuff, right? So what's the problem with math is that it has this kind of rule that we call fair game. Does anyone know what it means to have, like, fair game? So fair game in a math classroom would mean that anything that you were ever taught in previous math classes is able to be used in the class after it, and we assume that you know how to do it. Here's an example of how I did that in geometry already this year. What are each one of those angles called? Like this angle and this angle, what are they called? Come on, say it together. What are they called? Good, thank you. And what is this angle and this angle called? Come on, that's better than that. Let's go. What are they called? Vertical angles. Does that make sense? And what did I tell you about vertical angles? They're what? They're congruent, yes? Well, then I expected you to be able to do this. That means that 2x plus 10 equals 40. And technically, why should I be done with this problem? Like, why should Mr. Martin not have to explain anything else for solving this problem?
Because of the back bottom.
Yeah, but what's the rest of this math problem going to be? It's Algebra 1. And so you're supposed to come in knowing how to solve for x. That's what Algebra 1 should have taught you. You're supposed to know u minus 10, 2x equals 30, divide by 2, x equals 15. I mean, technically, have I come in and showed you any of this? Have I taught you how to do any of this in class? Have we gone over it? Yes, but have I spent days talking about it? No, why? Because it's from the past. That's what math does. It builds on itself. So we have tutoring opportunities if you're finding that it's old stuff that's getting in your way. We have tutoring on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays to help out with that. If you're finding it's old stuff, that's one way. There's Khan Academy. And also sometimes I do review. And today I'm going to go over something that we should have learned from Algebra 1. But I'll be honest with you, I took Algebra 1. And after I took Algebra 1, I didn't have this concept understood. So let's see. What is a graph? This is from Algebra 1, but we need to know this to help us for what we're going to discover today. What is a graph? What is it?
A graph is it's a chart that shows like the relation, or not the relation.
Yeah, no, relation is a good word.
Relation between numbers and I guess you could say shapes or something.
Okay. Okay, definitely has something to do with x and y. Absolutely has something to do. This is the x, this is the y.
I was thinking of function as well, where I was going to say every input has one output.
Yep, function, yep. All right, so a graph, this is what you need to understand. Do not write this for me today. I actually just want you to watch this beginning part. I will tell you when to start writing this right now. I want you to try to get this concept. A graph is a visual representation of all the answers to an equation. So let's go back. Why do we have to have a graph to visualize all the answers? Again, you don't have to be writing right now. Just give me your attention. Why do we have to have a graph to display all the answers? Well, let's look at the difference. What's the difference between this problem over here and this problem over here? There's something bigger than that. Oh, one has an x and one has just, or one has x and y and one just has x. Well, what does that mean for this one? That means for this one, I can use algebra and I can isolate the x. I can minus 4, I can minus 4, I get 6 equals 2x, I can divide by 2, I can divide by 2, and I get 3 equals x. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means if you put a 3 in for x. What is all this going to turn to? What number is it going to turn into?
3.
No, a 10. Look, if you put a 2 times 3 and plus 4, what is 2 times 3? And what's 6 plus 4? What were you trying to solve for? You were trying to see what x could you plug into this equation that would make this side equal to 10, because what do we know about 10 equaling 10? That's true. We're trying to make the equation true. Do you follow me? Okay. What's the difference when we started adding in this thing y? What's the difference here? And x equals 6. Yeah. And when I plug a 6 in for x, what happens? 6, by the way, 6 look like this. These would cancel. That's called cross simplifying. This would turn into 5 plus 2. So y would equal what? So 6, comma 7. What does that represent? That means if you put a 6 into this equation, if you put a 6 in here, what am I telling you is going to pop out here? A 7, yes? But what's the thing about a variable, though? So could I make the x become a 12? If I made this become a 12? This cancels, becomes a 1. This cancels, becomes a 2. This turns into 10 plus 2, which is? What happened as I changed my x? What happened? My x was here. What was my y? My x was 6. What was my y? My x was 12. What was my y? How many answers are there to this question, guys? Infinite amount, because as I change my x, what happens? So what is a graph? A graph says, hey, if you use this x and this y, what will that x and that y do to the equation? It will make the left side equal to the, if you use this x and this y, it will make the left side equal to the, now, will it always be 10 equaling 10? No, but it will always be maybe like, what if I had a 20 on this side? If you use this ordered pair, what will happen? What will this turn to? A 20. This is all the answers that will make the equation true. Do you follow me? You sure? So a graph is a visual representation of all the solutions. Because as I change my x, my y changes. What do I know about all the ordered pairs that are not on the line? They would make the equation false, meaning you would have maybe 10 equals 5. And what do you know about 10 equals 5? It doesn't. So what would happen to all these ordered pairs if you plug them into the equation? They would make the equation not true. Yeah, false. Do we have a better understanding of what a graph is? So when I graph y equals 5, 6x plus 2, I'm supposed to go, hey, this is my y-intercept, up to, boom. This is my slope, 5 over 6. Or can someone else rewrite that a different way, but it is still the same value, but I just changed the way it looks? Not a 10 over 12, not something like that. Use a negative. Can anyone use a negative and write 5, 6? Nope. Close. Has to be the same value. If I make it 6 over 5, is that the same value as 5 over 6? So negative 5 over negative 6, because what's a negative and negative become? And so are these two things really the same thing? So watch. I'm going to go up to, boom. Does everybody see why I plotted that first? And I'm going to use this slope, which means I go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 6. Jaden, you okay up there? Or what does this slope tell me I can do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then this time I go which way? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then do you see how they're on the same line? What does that mean about any of these ordered pairs that are on this line? What could I do? What do you mean by that? If I take any of these ordered pairs and I plug them into this equation, what would any of these ordered pairs on this line do to this equation? Make the left side equal to the, does that make sense? We will need that fact for what we're going to do today. So here is our new lesson for today.
Doesn't any vertical line always falls?
Ooh, what do you mean by that? You gotta be careful. I'll tell you what, you have to be very careful with alwayses in math. There are some times that we use them, but alwayses and nevers are very, we have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Um,
So like if you have like on a graph, you just have a if you have a vertical line,
yep.
that's not a function.
It's not.
So like when since everything's just up to 0, right? Up 1.
It has a what we call an undefined slope. It's an undefined slope. What is the equation of a line through 4, 1 and parallel to y equals 1/2 x minus 3. All right, so let's break this question down. Here's what they're asking me. They want me to create a new equation for a different line, but we know 2 facts about this line. Yep, you can write this one. What do we know about this line? It's what? Parallel to this, and it goes through this point. Do you follow me? All right. Have we talked about parallel lines in this class? What do we know about parallel lines from Friday? They have to have the same slope, yes? You guys have heard about this devious lick junk that's going on in schools, right? We're about to do a devious lick up in here. We are going to create a new equation. It's going to be y equals mx plus b. We want to fill this equation in. A new one. And we know some facts about it. Because we know it's parallel to this line, actually before we do that, what do we need to fill in order to have this equation so I know I'm done? What 2 things have to be filled in? The m and the b. Those are the only 2 things I have to have filled in. Do you follow me? All right, now how could I make an equation using the facts they gave me? Well, right now, because it's parallel to this line right now, right here, what do I know they have to have?
1/2 slope.
They have to have the same slope, correct? So there's where my devious lick is coming in. I'm going to steal the slope from this line. You guys are all about that in school, so let's just start using it. Y equals what? 1/2. What? X plus what? We don't know yet. Nope, because if we did that, it would be the same line. We're making a new one, right? So we know it's going to be parallel to that one. So we're stealing the slope from it. Now, what's the other fact we know about this line? What does it have to go through? And what did I tell you about all the points on a line? If it goes through that point, what is that point going to do to that equation? It's going to make it true, correct? Well, let's look at this equation. How many variables do I have right now? 3, correct? Aiden. What happens? What is this 4 right here? X, yes? What is this y right here, or 1 right here? Aren't those X's and Y's? If I plug that in, now what's the only variable? Am I able to use algebra then to solve for my B? Do you follow what I'm showing you on this? And then, what do you think is it? I'm going to try to warn you on some of the things. Where do you think some kids make an error when they go to plug in? Do you see this 4 right here? Where do you think they accidentally plug that in at? No? The Y. Why do you think they accidentally plug it into the Y spot? Because the 4 is first, and then the first variable they come to is Y. But what do we know about an ordered pair? The 4 is A, and the 1 is A. So you have to plug it into each respective place that it's supposed to go. That's a common error. Now the rest is algebra. Throw this over 1. I can cross simplify. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 4 twice. 1 equals, this really turns into a 1 over 1 times 2 over 1. And if I do that, 2 times 2 is 1 over 1 times 1 is 1, or 2 over 1 is just 2. I then minus 2 from both sides, so I get B alone. Negative 1 equals B. And my final answer is Y equals 1/2 X minus 1. There is my answer for this question. That is my new equation that I will guarantee you is parallel to this, and it also goes through this ordered pair. What would happen if I plugged the 4 and the 1 respectively? If I plugged the 4 in here and the 1 in here, what would happen? It would make the equation what? True. It would make, at the end, it would say 1 equals 1, which is true. All right, your chance. You're going to do the same exact thing. Here's your new equation. It is going to be parallel to this equation, but go through this point. So it's parallel to this equation, but it goes to this point. I want you to come up with the new equation that satisfies both of those. When you think you finished, compare your answer with someone beside you. If you have different answers, look at each other's questions and see if you can figure out what went wrong. If you have the same, give each other a high five and congratulations. And then we'll check. I'm going to put the answer up here and we'll see. Then you can both look back and see where you both went wrong. Every one of you should have a pencil in your hand. Every one of you should be writing. Bless you. I should hear you talking to someone next to you. You can ask them what you got, what they got, compare answers. Let's go. All right, here's what you should have done. What's the formula I'm trying to fill in? Y equals what? I'm going to keep writing that because that's going to help me remember it, right? So y equals mx plus b. I need the m and I need the b. Those are the only two things that I'm going to have plugged in when I finish. My final answer will only have the m and the b. The y and the x will be there. Does that make sense? So my final answer will have y, then some number, then x, then plus some number or minus some number. Okay? So here we go. Y equals, what am I going to do first? What am I doing with that? I'm stealing the slope from right here. Stealing the slope from right here, and I'm going to put it in for my slope over here. Why am I stealing the slope? What do I know about these two lines? They are what to each other? They're parallel. Since they're parallel to each other, I'm just going to steal the slope. Jaden? Does that make sense? Then I'm going to take this x and this y, plug them into their respectable spots. 1 equals -3 times 3 plus b. Why did I plug in using parentheses? Is that important? When we plug in, we always use parentheses. It helps us to remember that it's not really a 33. Okay? So what is -3 times 3? And how do I solve for b? What do I do next? So I'm getting b all alone. Very similar to most of you on the weekends. Just kidding. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Is that my final answer? Y equals -3x plus 10. That's my final answer.
Yeah, the 3. Why did I get a 4?
Does that make sense? Don't talk about my student like that, baby. Okay, here we go. My girlfriend does that. She'll go, man, I'm so stupid. And I'm like, hey, stop talking about my girlfriend like that. She thinks it's funny. It's not all I got. It's just sometimes little dad jokes that come out, you know. All right, here we go. Next one, we're going to do the same question. Y equals 1/2 x minus 3. 4, 1. That looks very familiar to the problem that we did at the beginning, yes? Except this time, we're going to make an equation of a line that would be perpendicular. You should know what perpendicular is. You guys know what a devious lick is the first day it comes out. How come you can memorize what that means, but you can't remember what perpendicular means? No, it's because you don't want to. Hey, perpendicular, some of you know what it is. What does perpendicular mean? Opposite reciprocal. So am I still going to steal the slope from here? Yes, but what am I going to do to it before I use it? Two things. I'm going to change the sign and I'm flip it. Then that's going to be the slope of my new line that I'm creating. Does everybody understand? Because it's perpendicular, I'm going to take the 1/2. Gotcha, baby. And I'm going to, what is the overall sign of this number? No, of this one. It is positive. So what does that mean if I change the sign? My new slope is going to be, and then if I flip it, it's going to be 2/1 or just 2. So y equals mx plus b. Y equals, now what am I going to fill in? -2x plus b. Now I'm going to fill in my x and my y. 1 equals -2 times 4 plus b. 1 equals -8 plus b. add 8, 9 equals B. Is that my final answer? Y equals negative 2x plus 9 is my final answer. Goodbye. I'll be honest with you, most new math is not that bad. It's the old math that we have to really shape up. And once we start realizing that we got to really know it, it really helps us. Hey, you know what? You're not alone. That would be the majority of my classes. I listen, I promise. But you can't go, I can't do it, therefore I just don't do it. We have to learn. Do you get what I'm saying? We have to figure out a way to fix that. So I can try to help you. All right.
I know a way to think of positive numbers or positive.
Yeah?
negative numbers.
Tell us.
So you gotta think of it as a brawl, okay? So, and then, you gotta think of it as a military fight. And usually in a military fight, the bigger team, the bigger army wins. Therefore, if you have a negative, -4 plus -3, there's gonna be one last guy standing. Well,
He's saying if you have a -4 and you add 3, well,
add 3.
ready? Watch. This really literally means you have 4 negatives. This means you have 3 positives. Every time you have a positive and a negative, what do they do to each other? So 3 of these positives are going to cancel out 3 of these negatives. And why is it only canceling out 3 of them? Because 4 has more, correct? So these cancel out. That's what he was referring to. The bigger army wins. So how many negatives are there left over? And so your answer would be -1. Different signs, they combat each other. They cancel each other out, leaving you with only smaller stuff left over. And whichever number is bigger, you keep that sign. If you have, by the way, those of you who are not needing this lesson, you can get going. This is your next equation. I want a line perpendicular to that one and going through that line. Lily, if I do this, a -5 minus 10. Literally, the other way that you do this, I bet you get this answer right. What if I borrow $5 from you today and I borrow $10 from you tomorrow? You did that with no problem. Okay. What's -5 and -10? -15. Why? You borrowed me and you still owe me. I always think money because I'm good with my money. I don't let people mess with my money. And I don't have very much. I agree. So -4 plus 7, right? I borrowed $4 from someone, right? So that means I owe someone. I just gained $7 today. What does that mean I have in the end? Well, what do I have to do with the person here? I have to pay them back, right? From my 7 that I just gained. So what does that mean I'm going to have left over? Take 4 away from 7. Right? And then since the bigger one is positive, I'm going to have 3 positives left over. Does that kind of make sense? Keep working on this. Come on, we should be working on this one. Good. Keep going after it. We're going to do another one. You notice, I'm trying. The more you guys do, the better it's going to be because it's some of the old stuff. It's adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing that kicks our butt. And so what do I do every single day? What do I ask you guys to do? I say, hey, what is this called? Because I'm trying to get you to. But when I say it now, then the next time I ask, you try to do it. You get what I'm saying? So I ask questions all the time because I agree with you. The more you guys talk about it, the better we're going to be. All right, because it's perpendicular. Since it's perpendicular, I'm going to do my devious lick. I don't care if it helps you guys remember it. I'm going to change the sign because it's perpendicular, correct? And then what am I going to do to the fraction? By the way, if it's a 3, I can just write it as 3 over. And then when I flip it, it's going to become a. So I changed it from a negative to a positive, and I flipped it. That's going to be my new equation for my slope I'm making. Yes or no? So y equals 1/3 x plus b. Any questions on that part? Now I'm going to take the 1. Throw you in here. 1 equals 1/3 times 3 over 1 plus b. What happens right here? It turns to a what? A 1. Good, because this cross cancels. 1 times 1 is 1 over 1, so that's a 1. Plus b. Now I'm minus 1, I'm minus 1. I get 0 equals b. Is b allowed to be 0? Oh, yes. Yes, it can be. So what's my equation actually?
Y equals
1/3 x. That's it. Could I technically put a plus 0 here? Yes, but there's nothing, it's not, will you ever see someone write it like that on the test, or if you're on the ACT and you're looking for the answer? No, it won't be there. That's what it'll look like. So when I know it's perpendicular, I know it's the opposite reciprocal. So opposite means you change the sign, so it went from negative to, from negative to a positive. That's what opposite means, change the sign. And then reciprocal means I flipped it. So the 1 came to the top and the 3 went to the bottom. That's what perpendicular means.
So if the b equals 0, we just write out the first part of the equation?
Yep. Yes, sir. All right, this one. I want you doing 2 different questions. Using the same equation and using the same ordered pair. You're going to come up with 2 equations. 2 equations. The first one, I want a parallel line to this one that goes through this point. And your second problem is I want a perpendicular one that is perpendicular to this line but goes through that point. Does everybody understand? There are 2 separate questions. Yes. Does it matter? Yes, it is, but does it really matter? Do you give 2 craps about this right here? What do you only care? What are you only using this for? It's like my girlfriend, only using her for her money. Just kidding, don't tell her that. This is recorded. If she finds out, I might be in trouble.
Yikes.
Just kidding. All right. Do I really give 2 craps about this -5? What is the only thing I am using this for? I'm only using it for its slope. Does that make sense? That's what it's only good for. That is not a reference to my girlfriend, but maybe it is. Just kidding. Should I play this YouTube for her?
Yeah, that part.
Just that part? Okay, we have to look at the time. All right. If I don't come to school tomorrow, it's because I'm heartbroken.
I was it's because you're dead.
Dang. I mean,
I would have broken up with her if she didn't say Jesus Christ.
all right, let's go. Work. Man, if I could get you guys as interested as you are with the devious licks and my girlfriend breaking up with me in math, we'd be golden.
I think like I'm not really engaged with the devious licks because like it's essentially the idea of it. Like I hate the idea of the trend because it's literally like if you were to go to a park and then you
Well, you know that
have
people
a
are
thing
in big
called,
trouble
like,
too, right?
No, you say you go to a park and you have this new trend. It's called dubious salts, and literally you just go to the park and hook math, and that's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, it's not good. People are getting, by the way, just so you know, the reason I brought this up too is to talk about it. They are prosecuting to the fullest extent here at schools. In fact, one other school, while you're working, keep working. So, you know, we have teachers that we talk to and we have friends that have gone to other schools. So we talk about the different things that are going on in our schools. Their school decided to give students homecoming tickets for the kids who turned in other students. Let me just tell you, they gave a lot of homecoming tickets away.
No snitching.
Why? If you don't do the activity, guess what? You have nothing to fear. Like, I'm not scared. I love that activity. That sounds great to me. Now people won't be messing up your bathroom that you're trying to use. Oh, that's something else.
Mr. Martin, did you see the devious like where this kid stole a school bus? He stole a school bus.
And you know that I wish they would do is put up the final thing about what happened to him after.
Yeah, I don't know why they're recording it. They're giving them stuff away.
And he's gonna be in huge trouble. By the way, some of these things that you guys do as kids since you're 16, some of you, they don't go away. They will stay. So just remember, just trying to promote being smart and thinking about what you do before you do it, because those people, A, they're going to make you record it, then they're going to turn you in. They're not really your friends. They're asking you to do that kind of activity, guys. Oh, they knew what was going to happen. Yes. Don't do the same thing. Well, for the parallel, you're going to steal the slope. For the parallel, you're going to steal the slope the way that it is. All right, here we go. We're doing number 1 right now. So y equals 3, y equals mx plus b. All I need is the m and the b. Y equals 3/4 x plus b. Does that make sense so far? Take the x and the y, plug them in, so it's going to turn into what? Someone help me out. Good, -2 equals 3/4 times 12 over 1. Why am I doing it like that? That way I already know what top and bottom are, so when I go to reduce and multiply, it makes it easier. The 4 cancels out and turns to a 1.
Why does it cancel out?
The 12 cancels, so this is called reducing fractions. So, hey. So when I have this, what was it, 3/4 times 12 over 1? These guys can cross simplify. This turns to a 1. That turns to a 3. Because 4 goes into 4 one time, and 4 goes into that 3 times. Remember that reducing thing? And then 3 times 3 is 9 over 1, or a 9. So this turned into a -2 equals 9 plus b. Yes? -9, -9. -11 equals b. So y equals 3/4 x minus 11. That's for parallel. That's the number 1 answer. Yes. If I was doing the number 2 answer, I would do the same exact thing. Hayden, you're going to stay after and talk to me, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you. Y equals mx plus b. My slope is 3/4. If it's going to be perpendicular, what am I going to do to it first? Change the sign. So it's going to be negative, and then flip it, 4/3. Y equals -4/3. And then we're going to plug the x and y in. Make sense? Hey, you all have a homework on this. Bye. Have a good day.
All right.